Hey beautiful, how you doing today? Welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. Hi, I'm Lucky, gay guy from prison, and today I want to talk about the scariest thing that ever happened to me when I was locked up. This is actually prior to going to prison. This is when I was still at the jail. And I want to talk about not only what had happened, but why this was so scary. Not just only because of the nature of the incident, but what it like taught me, I guess, is also what made this all so scary. For the people who follow the prison diaries, this is prior to when I started writing in my journal. I started writing the first entry in my journal. I believe the date was June 5th or June 7th, somewhere around there. I think it was June 5th, though, in 2016. This happened like November or something the previous year. I got locked up June 20th, 2015, and I was released December 31st, 2018. And I started my YouTube channel the next day. I was ready to start talking about all of this stuff. But anyway, I got locked up June 20th, 2015, and I started writing in my journal a year later, June whatever, 2016. November, December of 2015 is when this incident happened. I was in jail. I was in the regional jail. I got locked up. I'm from a small town, and I got locked up and placed into a local little county jail. And as they start to realize who are kind of like extended stay people, like you're going to be doing more than 30 days, I guess, they ship you out to a regional jail, like a much larger jail. And that's where I was sent. I had trouble right from the start in terms of housing because of being a gay person. There were people that would be like uncomfortable with me in the cell. I would be uncomfortable with, some people in the cell, certain people in the cell. So there was like a small pod. Typically the pods were kind of large. There was one side and another side of cells. They had like two correctional officers in the pod, like at like a desk, kind of just like watching, surveying the pod. But they did have two small pods that they said usually like less troublesome inmates they would either house there, or people, I guess, sometimes who kind of needed some sort of protection and I guess just needed to be away from the crowds. I don't know about like child molesters or something, but I did know that there were like a few transgender females that would be housed sometimes in these smaller pods, or gay people. And I hadn't been housed in a pod like that before, but they ended up moving me in this pod. And another reason that they did that was because in the larger pods, all the cells were two people per cell. In these smaller pods, they had single cells. They had, I think, six of them. There was one, two, three downstairs. It was like in an L shape. The pod, like, and the cells were kind of like in an L shape, and they were on each corner. There was one on the end, another single cells, another one in the corner, and then another one like going back towards where the front door is, like on this end. So three on the bottom and then three on the top. I was housed in the small pod on the top, second tier, in the corner, single cell, and the showers were also in that back corner. So my cell was like next to the. This is relevant information, by the way, to this story. So explaining this. This is relevant information. My cell was the single cell in that corner, right next to the shower. Okay. Also, keep in mind with this small pod, since it was small like that, there wasn't any officers that stayed in the pod. There were cameras, and even up at the top, like there was like a little black window, which officers could be in there probably watching, but you never knew because there would be fights that would go on sometimes, and it would take my gosh, forever for an officer to come in and break it up. And then there were a few fights that didn't even get broken up. Like, we don't even know if the officer saw it and just didn't care, or if nobody was even in there to witness it or something. So there wasn't a lot of supervision in this pod. Keep that in mind, okay? This pod was just very overwhelming for me. I really honestly used to just stay in my cell all the time. I just came out for trays, and I would grab my tray, go back to my cell, eat, take the tray and put it back, go back to my cell. I did not come out of my cell, like, period. And over time, people started to notice that. At first, when I first moved into the pod, I remember everybody screaming and, you know, catcalling and wah, like, just anytime I felt like any homosexual or transgender female walks into I live near a train. The damn train. But anytime that somebody, a gay person or a transgender female comes into a new pod, whether it's jail or prison, I feel like the guys just flip out. Like, they just be screaming and rattling the doors. It's very, like, overwhelming, at least for me. I don't know. There's some people that they just love the attention. They feel like it's like an audience greeting them on stage, but I don't feel like that. Like, it just always just made me shake. You know, and I'd just be ready to just, like, you know, where's my cell so I can just, like, fly in there and, you know, escape this. I don't understand what is the big deal, and how are you people just from first glance knowing that I'm, you know, gay like that. I mean, granted, out here it's like, okay, I got highlights in my hair, you know, my mannerism as I'm talking, but if I'm just carrying my shit, I didn't have highlights in there, you know. If I'm just carrying my stuff, I mean, I guess I got a walk that just says, like, oh my gosh, it's a screaming gay guy, a sissy little gay boy over there. Rattle your doors, guys. I don't know. It's just weird. But anyway, in this pod, there was a lot of young guys. Mind you, now I don't want to, I know I have females that follow this channel. I have made videos in the past about girls that have guys that are locked up. I can't speak for your personal situation. My advice to you is trust your gut and your instinct when it comes to what you suspect the person might be doing. Just the same as I think if you're loyal and y'all have a strong connection, you can trust it. If you're doing whatever and y'all just seem disconnected at times and stuff like that, honestly, I would think you can safely expect the same from him, you know? I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. It's you know, just on you. But the reason why I say that is because these guys, they all had girlfriends. All of these guys, all of them. For old time, like, you know, subscribers and friends of the channel's viewers, this dates back to the video. I'm gonna put the card in here with the guy I call Hercules, that guy that I ended up really, really liking a lot. But initially he had a girlfriend out there, and he was angry because he knew that she was doing this and that and all of this stuff, and then he would try to talk to me. Initially I did not like him at all. He was really obnoxious to me, and he just thought he was like God's gift to, you know, Mother Earth. He was really good looking. Like, he was very good looking, super buff. That's why I call him Hercules. That's why I gave him that nickname. But he was very buff, great looking white guy, you know, but kind of entitled and, you know, just obnoxious, like. But eventually that's kind of, I suppose, what his charm was. But he broke up with the girlfriend, or, you know, eventually. And if you want to follow that story, I put the video up at the top, so you can check it out if you want. But that's not the story we're talking about today. There were 3 other guys. There was the guy I call Hercules, and he was, where was he around at this point? I think he was locked in his cell on this night that I'm about to share. I think he was locked in his cell at that time, or was he away for court, or something, but he wasn't around, because otherwise I think he would have probably interfered with this. But there were 3 other guys, young guys, like 19, 20, and 21, you know, I think is literally the ages. And all of them had girlfriends on the outside. They were all kind of like fraternity type guys, just riled up all the time, in jail, acting a fool, cutting up or whatever. And over time of me being in the pod, the guys, I guess they could see, this is like probably like over the course of two weeks, the guys could see that I never came out of the cell. So they started trying to be friendly. I don't know why. This is why I get frustrated with prison channels, like on, you know, out here that you see, or even how they portray it like on TV and stuff like that, because it isn't, they present it one way, but in reality it's actually different. In there, on the inside, it's actually different. They, over time, for whatever reason, wanted to start, you know, having me come out of the cell more. They didn't like that I was cooped up in there and I wouldn't talk to anybody and I never came out or anything like that. I didn't want to be bothered, and I just assumed that they didn't want to be bothered. So they started trying to be like friendly. Like when I would come out, they would try to talk to me, or they would ask if I wanted to watch TV or something like that, because in the jail they didn't have TVs that you could, you know, have in your cell. They had like they had one TV in this small pod in the middle of the pod. When you get to prison, you can get your own TV. And then in the larger pods in the jail, they had, I think, 2 TVs on one side and 1 TV on the other side or something. And there's a remote control, you know, they fight over the remote control, whatever. But this pod, since it was small, it was kind of, it seemed sort of organized, and, you know, people kind of got along for the most part. They would ask me if I wanted to watch shows or whatever. So I ended up kind of loosening up over time with these guys, and we would get, you know, we would just, you know, joke around with each other, be playful, whatever. The dude that I call Hercules was trying to pursue me, and he would be flirty and this and that and stuff. But one night, at night, we would clean the pod, okay? And you could just, usually in the larger pods, the COs would pick whoever their favorite people were to come out and clean the pods. In prison, that's like an actual job that you get, you know, and you get paid and stuff. But in the jail, it was just either trustees or it would be people that, you know, the COs would pick. In this small pod, they just kind of like brought it in, and whoever stayed out to clean is who cleaned. And as I got more comfortable with these guys and we would joke around and stuff like that, I would hang out with them, cleaning the pod, whatever. But this particular night, this is the scariest thing that happened to me. And maybe it might not seem like a big deal, but it really terrified me. I am a gullible person. I tend to take people at, you know, face value, in the sense that what I see that I'm getting is what I believe, you know. These guys appear to be straight guys. They all have their girlfriends that I see they talk with on the phone. Some of them get visits. These are the girls that put money on their books. They talk about them to me and stuff. And granted, it's like they would joke with me, but I had friends in college. We joked, you know, it's like people stay in their lane. I'm gay, they're straight. It's no big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people have an issue, some people don't. This is how I think of it. This is probably how you think of it. This is where things kind of, you know, freak me out a little bit. One particular night, I was helping them clean up the pod, and they were asking me all these sex questions, and it was a little bit uncomfortable. But I was going with it, and I was intentionally trying to see, I guess, if I can make them uncomfortable. So as they're asking me these sexual questions, I was answering them like really sexually, actually, and blunt, like straight up. They're asking, you know, how I like to take it, how, you know, I don't know. I like just sexual questions. What size do I like? And I'm just like, oh, the bigger the better, because it just fills you up, and it's like the source of all the man's power, and I love all of that in my mouth. Like, just crazy, okay? Just crazy. They're, to me, they're being crazy asking me these questions, and I just figured, like, okay, well, I don't know if you're testing me, but let me test you. Like, I'm comfortable with myself, so let's see how comfortable you are with yourself, because I know that guys, they can be shaken really easily. Straight guys, anyway. To me, I feel like straight guys can be rocked very easily. Like, it's very easy to, like, you know, offset a straight guy, to me, you know? But, they were really getting into it. And so then, as we're talking about size and the enjoyment and pleasure of it all and all this stuff, I'm, like mopping, I think. Yeah, I was mopping. They had already swept up, and I was holding the mop and mopping, and we're you know, we're talking. And so then they were like, can you demonstrate how you do it on this mop? So I didn't want to do it, like, because, you know, it's gross. It's a wooden mop handle. So I'm like, I'm not sucking on this freaking thing. That's disgusting. And there was gloves. So they were like, oh, we can put a glove on it. They put a glove over top of the thing. I do it, and they all are staring with their mouths dropped open. This is 3 guys, all with girlfriends. They're staring, mouths dropped, like, way down. So, okay, I laugh, go upstairs, and I start cleaning the shower. As I'm cleaning the shower, and I'm, like, crouched down, scrubbing it and stuff like that, I see these 3 shadows, like, you know, it's, you know, the light, but it did kind of, at the end of the night, they do turn off certain lights, and there's, like, you know, a few lights on in the pod, but it's, like, dimmer, you know what I mean? But still there's, like, light, and suddenly this shadow comes up, like, blocks all of the light. And I turn around, and I see all 3 of these guys standing there. And I stand up, and I'm like, what's going on? And so they were just like, you know, oh my gosh, that was amazing watching you do that. Like, you know, you really know how to take stuff like that. And I'm sitting there kind of like giggling, but nervously, because they were surrounding me, and the look in their eyes was so intense. Like, it really freaked the shit out of me. So I kind of just like slowly kind of edge myself along as they're talking. I'm giggling, and I get like, you know, kind of like pushed towards my cell, because my cell thankfully was right next to the shower. And I was like, well, I think I'm done here. I left all the cleaning stuff and everything in the shower. I was like, well, I think I'm done here, and I'm gonna say goodnight. And they're like, oh, you're turning in already? And I was like, yeah. And I went in lockdown. That wasn't the most, I could tell stories about, like, what's the most dangerous thing to me. I mean, what's the most dangerous thing that's happened to me. But for me, I don't know. What was so scary about that was, one, I'm not trying to be gangbanged in jail. I know that that's, like, a lot of people's fantasy, which is why I told this story, because it's like, you could be sitting over there, you know, whatever fetishes that you got going on. No judgment here. But for me, that was really scary, because there's just no way, you know, there's just no way. And the thing that kind of freaked me out about that is you cannot believe what you see sometimes. Like, here, these guys, they are bona fide, regular, your average, everyday straight guys, young guys, girlfriends out there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know. It just really freaked me out. It just really freaked me out, you know? But yeah, that's my story. That's my story. Hope you enjoyed it, you know? I can tell, like, I might do another video with, like, dangerous stuff that happened, but that one, that always just kind of, like, left me shaken, because I feel like if I had just even stayed out there even a little bit too long, I don't know. You know, I'm just thankful that they didn't, like, outright attack me, but it was clear what had gone on that night. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I'm joking around here, and that really actually turned them on. I think they all had the same thought, and when I realized that that's what was going on, I was like, let me just get the hell out of here. Let me just laugh my way out of here and lock myself in this fucking cell. Alright, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.